When I realized I'd won the lottery, I thought my biggest problem would be deciding which truck to buy first. I had no idea my life was about to turn into a full-time job of dodging people. I've never been the lucky one in the family. That was always Leah, my younger sister, the one who somehow got upgraded flights, charmed her way out of speeding tickets, and had a rotating cast of boyfriends who spoiled her. Me? I was the guy who once won a free coffee in a scratch-off game and spilled it before I even got to work. So the night I bought the ticket, it was almost an afterthought. I'd stopped at J&J Gas & Go after my shift at Franklin Packaging to grab a cold Mountain Dew and a bag of jerky. My boots were caked with machine grease, my shoulders ached from replacing a gear assembly on one of the ancient conveyor belts, and I just wanted to get home. The Power Lotto sign by the register was flashing $48,000 in bright red LEDs. It was hypnotic in a tired guy way. I slid a crumpled $10 across the counter and told the clerk, "Marty, give me 5 quick picks." Marty grinned, punched in the numbers, and handed over the tickets. "Don't forget me when you win," he joked. I smirked. Sure thing. At the time, I thought it was just clerk banter. The drawing was the next night. I forgot all about it until the following morning when I was sitting at my kitchen table in my boxers, scrolling my phone. My cat was meowing for breakfast, and I had one boot laced when I remembered the tickets in my wallet. First number. Match. Second, match. By the fourth, my stomach felt like it had dropped into my boots. All 6. I didn't scream or jump up and down like you see on TV. I just sat there. The fridge hummed. The cat meowed again, impatient. My coffee went cold. $48 million. After taxes, it'd be around $30 million. More money than I'd ever thought about in my life. I didn't tell anyone right away. For 2 days, I went to work like nothing had happened. I figured I needed a plan before I told my family, before I claimed the prize. I'd read enough lottery horror stories to know how quickly things could go sideways. On the 3rd day, I went back to J&J Gas & Go to scan the ticket at the machine, just to see the jackpot winner, "Please contact Lottery Commission" message in person. That's when I made my first mistake. Marty was behind the counter. "Hey, aren't you going to check that ticket?" "I did," I said. He scanned it himself, saw the message, and his eyes went wide. "Holy sh!" He caught himself, then lowered his voice. "Is this you? You won?" I froze for a second too long. Then, stupidly, I grinned. "Yeah!" His jaw dropped. "Man, you're set for life. Hey, can I get a picture with you? For my memories?" I said no. Nicely. Told him I wanted to keep it quiet, but I'd underestimated how fast gossip moves in a small neighborhood. By that night, 3 different people I barely knew had texted me, "Congrats! And don't forget us little people." I hadn't told anyone. The next morning, a guy I used to see at the gym cornered me in the grocery store. So, 30 mil after taxes? That's what my cousin says. By the end of the week, strangers were DMing me on Facebook asking for just a little help with their rent. One guy sent me photos of his kids' hospital bills. That's when I realized Marty must have told someone who told someone else, until half the city seemed to know. I went back to J&J Gas & Go to confront him. He played dumb at first, but when I pressed him, he shrugged. "I just told my girlfriend. She told her mom. I didn't know it would blow up like that." I told him it wasn't okay, that I'd asked him to keep it quiet. He actually laughed and said, "What are they going to do? Take the money away?" It wasn't about the money. It was about the fact that I now had people showing up outside my apartment. A woman banged on my door one night, crying about how she needed surgery. 2 teenage kids slid notes under my door asking for PlayStations. I called the Lottery Commission to ask if I could stay anonymous. They said no. In Ohio, winners are public record. But they also said if I could prove harassment tied to someone leaking my info before the official release, I might have a case. I thought about pressing charges against Marty. The idea of taking some poor gas station clerk to court didn't sit right with me. But I couldn't ignore the fact that my life had gotten way more complicated because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. When I finally told my dad, Gerald, he hugged me hard. "You did it, son. You can finally stop crawling under machines for a living." Then, without missing a beat, "We should get your sister into a new car. That loan's killing her." When I told Leah, she squealed, hugged me, then casually mentioned a house she'd been just looking at online. When I told Tara, she kissed me like she hadn't in months and said we should go look at houses tomorrow. Not sometime soon. Tomorrow. It should have felt like my life was opening up. Instead, it felt like I'd stepped into a spotlight I didn't ask for, with every familiar face suddenly calculating what they could get from me. That's when I realized winning was the easy part. Keeping it from destroying my life, that was going to be the real challenge. When you suddenly have more money than you know what to do with, people start speaking a different language around you. It's the same words, just a different meaning. Let's hang out really means let's talk about my idea and how you can fund it. I'm so happy for you often comes with an unspoken, so what can you do for me? After the leak from Marty at the gas station, I thought the worst was over. People would lose interest, right? But money is like blood in the water. Once it's out there, the sharks keep circling. The first ask came from Leah. She called me in the middle of my shift, voice sugar sweet. Noah, you remember that house I showed you? The one with the big kitchen? Well, the seller's dropping the price. If you could just give me the down payment. Leah, you just bought your current place 2 years ago. Right, but this one is bigger. And I mean, you've got the money now. It wouldn't even make a dent. It was presented as if my money was already hers, like it was sitting in a pile and she just needed me to hand her the corner she wanted. I told her I'd think about it. She hung up with a disappointed, okay. The next was Brent, my oldest friend. He invited me over for beer and the game, which I thought was a relief, just normal life. But halfway through the first quarter, he pulled out a folder. Brent, I've been looking at rental properties. The market's hot right now. If you just front me 50 grand, we can flip a couple and split the profit. Easy money. Brent, I'm not looking to get into real estate right now. It's not you getting into real estate. It's me, for both of us. Come on, man, don't you trust me? That question, don't you trust me, hit different now. It wasn't about friendship anymore. It was about guilt leverage. Tara was more subtle at first. She'd bring up vacations while scrolling on her phone. Show me videos of couples drinking wine on the Amalfi Coast. We could be like that now. You've been working so hard for so long, we deserve it. She wasn't wrong, but her we always came with a dollar sign. The real shift came when she started inviting her friends over without asking me. They'd compliment our apartment, then drop hints about how you must be looking at something bigger. One even joked, bet you're getting a pool, right? I laughed it off, but Tara didn't deny it. By the third week, I had random numbers calling me daily. Some were charity reps. Others were people claiming to be old classmates who somehow needed help with a medical bill. The creepiest was a guy who stood outside my building one night holding a handwritten sign that said, "Just $5,000 will save my house." I called the police. They moved him along, but the next night another person showed up. A woman with her toddler, asking if I could pay for her daycare. It wasn't just uncomfortable. It was harassment. My phone buzzed constantly. My email was flooded, and I was starting to feel like a prisoner in my own apartment. That's when I finally called Miles Kincaid, the financial advisor my coworker had told me about. We met at a coffee shop halfway between my place and his office. He was in his 40s, suit sharp but not flashy, silver hair combed back like he'd been born to give bad news gently. I told him about the calls, the visits, Leah's house request, Brent's pitch. I didn't even get to Tara yet. He listened without interrupting, then leaned back. Noah, this is what I call the lottery curse starter pack. Friends with business ideas, family with urgent needs, strangers who treat you like an ATM. Me. So what do? Just say no to everyone? Miles, you set rules, and you stick to them. Because once you say yes to one person, everyone else will think the door's open. You give Leah a house? Brent's gonna want a business. You help Brent? Tara's gonna want that Italy trip tomorrow. And they won't see it as generosity. They'll see it as your obligation. The way he said it made my stomach twist. He was right. That night, I tried to talk to Tara about setting boundaries. She smiled and nodded, but then asked, so does that mean we aren't looking at houses this month? When I said no, she went quiet. Not angry, just distant. 2 days later, I came home from a meeting with Miles to find Leah sitting at my kitchen counter. She'd let herself in using the spare key I'd given her for emergencies. She slid a folder toward me. Mortgage papers. It's perfect. And if we get the paperwork in this week, I can move before winter. Leah, I told you. Don't be selfish, Noah. You have the money. I'm your sister. It was the way she said selfish that told me we were crossing a line we couldn't come back from. By the end of that month, I had stopped answering half my calls. I kept the blinds shut. I told Miles to handle anything that looked even remotely like a request for money. But the truth was, I hadn't seen the worst of it yet. Because when betrayal came, it wasn't from strangers outside my door. It was from the people already inside it. It started with a quiet observation from Miles during one of our regular check-ins. His office was one of those places that could put anyone at ease. Thick carpet, dark wood, warm lighting. But when Miles leaned forward and lowered his voice, it felt like we were in a police interrogation room. Miles, Noah, I need to ask, did you authorize a $35,000 wire transfer to Pinecrest Title Company? Me? What? No, I haven't bought anything. Miles, it's from your personal checking 2 weeks ago, and it's got your signature on the authorization form. He slid the paper toward me. My name was there, written in a passable imitation of my handwriting, but I could tell instantly it wasn't mine. My N always hooked down before curving. This one didn't. Miles, who else has account access? Leah. My stomach turned. I'd given her access for emergencies, back when I thought winning meant we'd both live easier. I drove to her apartment without calling first. The smell of cinnamon candles hit me when she opened the door. She was in leggings and an oversized sweatshirt that read "Coffee Before Adulting." Me. Where's the 35 grand, Leah? Leah, blinking innocently. What are you talking about? Me. Don't play dumb. Pinecrest Title Company. 2 weeks ago. That's not my signature. Her expression didn't flicker. She walked into the kitchen, grabbed a mug, and poured coffee like we were discussing the weather. Leah, I put a deposit down on the house I told you about. You weren't moving fast enough, so I just made it happen. Me, that's called forging my signature. It's called family looking out for each other. You've got millions, Noah. I just need a little start. A little start was a down payment on a house twice the size of mine. I stared at her, realizing this wasn't spur of the moment. She'd planned it, counted on me to let it slide. Me, you're done. No more money. No more access. I'll be closing that account tomorrow. Her eyes narrowed. Wow, you've really changed, you know that? Money's made you selfish. I left before I said something I couldn't take back. That night, I told Tara what happened. She set down her wine glass and sighed. Tara, she's your sister, Noah. You can't just cut her off. Me, she stole from me. She borrowed. Families do that. The word borrowed caught in my head like a splinter. Tara didn't seem angry on my behalf, more annoyed that I'd shut off one more pipeline of cash. 2 weeks later, Miles called again. This time, his tone was sharper. Miles, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to like, and I'd rather you hear it from me than someone else. Me, what now? Miles, Tara was seen at Delaney's downtown. Not with friends, with Brent. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe they ran into each other. Maybe they were talking about surprising me. But Miles kept going. Miles, my acquaintance said they looked close. Too close. I didn't want to believe it, but the pit in my stomach wouldn't let it go. The next night, I parked across from Tara's building, telling myself I was crazy. I sat there with the radio low, watching the doorway. Around 10 p.m., they came out together. Brent's arm was around her waist. She tilted her head back and laughed. He kissed her like it wasn't the first time. They didn't see me. I drove off, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles hurt. I couldn't tell if I was more furious at Brent, at Tara, or at myself for not seeing it sooner. Over the next week, I didn't confront either of them. I wanted control, not an explosion. Miles and I started pulling strings quietly, shutting down joint accounts, pulling Tara off the lease, revoking Leah's access to anything. It was ugly work, but it felt necessary. Because now I knew the truth. The strangers banging on my door weren't the real threat. The real danger was the people who already had a key. By the time the third month rolled around, I had everything I needed. Bank statements showing Leah's forged withdrawal, photos of Tara and Brent, Even text screenshots Miles helped me retrieve that proved they'd been meeting up for weeks. All that was left was deciding how I wanted to play it. Quietly or publicly. By the time I had all the proof in hand, the bank statements, the forged signature, the photos of Tara and Brent, I thought I'd feel ready. But the truth? My stomach turned every time I imagined saying the words out loud. Part of me wanted to drag it all into the sunlight, show everyone exactly what they'd done, humiliate them the way they'd humiliated me. But another part, the quieter, sharper part, wanted something cleaner. Something that ended with me walking away while they were still wondering what hit them. That's when Miles gave me the advice that set my course. Miles, you can win loud or you can win quiet. Loud wins feel good in the moment. Quiet wins last. I started with Leah because hers was the clearest line, theft in black and white. I texted her, meet me at Mason's Diner at 6. Don't be late. She showed up in a camel-colored coat that still had the store tags dangling from the pocket, probably thinking I wouldn't notice. She didn't even take off her sunglasses before sliding into the booth. Leah, what's this about? I've got plans. Me, cancel them. I laid the bank statement and transfer form on the table. Her eyes barely flicked to them before landing back on me. You're seriously doing this here? In public? Me, you forged my signature. That's fraud. $35,000, gone without my consent. Leah, it's not like you can't afford it. And it's not fraud, Noah. It's family. You weren't moving fast enough, so I made it happen. Her voice was steady, almost smug, like she believed she had some moral high ground because we shared DNA. Me, you have until Friday to return it in full. If you don't, I go to the DA. And yes, Leah, they'll take this seriously. She leaned back, crossing her arms. You wouldn't do that to me. I didn't look away. Me, try me. For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty. She didn't say another word, just grabbed her coffee to go and left without looking back. I texted Tara and Brent, meet me at Brent's place, 7 p.m. Don't be late. When I arrived, they were already there, sitting on opposite ends of the couch, just like they'd been caught passing notes in class. Tara had her hair up in the loose bun she used to wear when we'd spend Sunday mornings together. I noticed, and hated that I noticed. I stayed standing. From my jacket, I pulled a thick manila envelope and set it on the coffee table. Me, open it. Brent hesitated, but Tara reached for it. Out slid the photos, the kiss outside her building, the dinner at Delaney's, their hands intertwined on the table. The timestamps matched text screenshots tucked in behind, full of, can't wait to see you again, and he's clueless. Tara's face flushed deep red. Brent stared at the floor. Me, I'm not here to ask why. I don't care. What I do care about is that the two people I trusted most after winning were already planning their next move without me. Noah, it wasn't... Don't. You made your choice. I'm making mine. I turned to Brent. We've been friends since middle school. That used to mean something. I guess it doesn't anymore. I didn't slam the door when I left. I didn't need to. The silence I left behind was loud enough. Over the next few weeks, I made the rest of my cuts quietly. The cousins who'd sent me urgent loan requests? Blocked. The high school buddy who wanted me to invest in his brewery? Gone. I sold my apartment and moved into a modest but secluded place with a long driveway and a gate I could lock. I swapped my number again. Stopped posting anything online. My circle shrank to 3 people. Miles, my dad, and a former coworker named Paul, who never once brought up my winnings. The air felt different, cleaner. Leah returned the money, barely on time, and with a venomous text about how I'd lost all sense of family. Tara moved out. From what I heard, she and Brent didn't last. That's the thing about alliances built on betrayal. They don't survive when there's nothing left to steal. One evening, I sat in Miles's office going over my portfolio. He looked up from the numbers and said, Miles, you know, you're in better shape than most lottery winners I've met. You didn't just keep your money, you kept yourself. On the drive home, I thought about that. Because the truth was, I hadn't kept myself. I'd had to rebuild. Winning the lottery didn't ruin my life. It revealed the rot that was already there. And once I cut it out, I realized I didn't need $30 million to feel rich. If you ever come into money overnight, remember this. Find one person you can trust with your life and stop trying to save anyone else. The ones worth saving never needed your money in the first place. I thought winning would change my life by adding more to it. I didn't know the real change would come from cutting so much away. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. If you want to share your stories, please comment below. Additionally, what is your opinion on the poster's decision?